What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global back here with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about how can the Patriots replace linebacker Dont'a Hightower after he decided to opt out of the 2020 NFL season. To me, Hightower is arguably the biggest loss that the Patriots have when you look at the 8 players that have opted out, at least so far. The deadline for players to opt out is Thursday. Hopefully the Patriots are done, but of course you never know. Now, of course, losing any player, of course, is never what you want because they were brought onto the team for a reason. There was a plan for them for a specific reason, whether they were going to make the final roster or whether they weren't. But to me, every other guy that the Patriots lost, they will be able to compensate for that loss. But for Hightower, the Patriots already faced an offseason where they lost all of their starting linebackers. Hightower was the only one that essentially had stayed. You lost to Landon Roberts, you lost Kyle Van Noy, you lost Jamie Collins, so you were really relying on Hightower and then, of course, Juwan Bentley, who really his workload got pushed down because of the addition of Jamie Collins. So now with Hightower out, all 4 of the Patriots starting linebackers, part of the Boogeyman defense in 2019, are all officially gone. Linebacker has definitely been a big question mark. It's been a very big concern for the Patriots. It's probably the biggest hole that they have, especially kind of when looking on their defense. Did they really replenish it enough? You're going to be hearing a lot about safeties playing in the box, that hybrid role. And then essentially the rest of them are rookies or second-year players. Now, my first big thing here is, what are the Patriots going to do with their defensive alignment? Of course, as we all know, a defense is either playing a 4-3 or a 3-4. New England used to very much be a 4-3 defense. For those of you who don't know, that is 4 defensive linemen along with 3 linebackers, but especially this past season, they were so stacked at linebacker, and they had a lot of great linebackers at that, especially with the addition of Jamie Collins, that they switched to 3-4, and it really worked out very well for them. But now with all the question marks at linebacker, with all the departures at linebacker, I'll be very curious to see if they switch back to a 4-3. And if they do decide to do that, that is another reason that I think the New England Patriots need to add a body at defensive tackle. Either way, the New England Patriots play a 3-4, a 4-3. They need to make some addition, whether that's at linebacker for a 3-4 or a DT for a 4-3. Now, as for the outside linebackers, the guys who essentially would be able to play outside linebacker are guys like John Simon, Chase Winovich, Shalik Calhoun, Derek Rivers, Tayshawn Bower, and Nick Coe. But what you have to also remember is, okay, which of these guys are logically and realistically going to be able to be all down types of linebackers? I think what people forget about Dont'a Hightower is versatility. Now, he was never great in coverage. That's the big thing with Hightower. But he's gotten better over the past couple years. He's tried to shed some pounds, he's tried to get faster, and he has clearly gotten slightly better when in coverage. But again, he's still nothing crazy. Like, he's not a guy that you would rely on in that sense where you would with a Kyle Van Noy or a Jamie Collins. You also have to take in mind for Dont'a Hightower's versatility. I mean, he was able to play inside linebacker, outside linebacker, was able to set the edge, and surprisingly even had very few, but still had some snaps this past season at corner and safety. I think that John Simon is going to play a much bigger role this upcoming season with all these departures. I think even before Hightower left, that John Simon is going to be a very important piece, and now it's even more evident to that fact. I also have faith that Chase Winovich will be able to fill in this type of role. I think that Shalik Calhoun has the ability also to do this, and he even showed it just as long as he can stay healthy. I don't have too much to say about Tayshawn Bower just because we really haven't seen him. There's nothing I can genuinely say about him. I don't think Nick Coe is a guy that I would throw out there in linebacker. Keep him on the defensive line. I think that is the best case. That is the best way to have him succeed. And then as for Derek Rivers, this is his last chance to genuinely be able to do something, but personally, I'm not betting my odds on it. Now, real quick, guys, there is no shortage of action going on with our exclusive partners, BetOnline. Now, sports, as we all know, are slowly but surely making their way back with UFC, NASCAR, and soccer leading that pack. BetOnline has all of the best odds and lines for the upcoming matches for the upcoming weekend. Of course, if you're like Patriots Global, I need more. Like always, I got you covered because BetOnline has simulated NFL, NBA, and UFC events happening every single day, and they're live for you to check out. Of course, if you're like, Patriots Global, I'm looking for something that isn't sports. Well, BetOnline has you covered for that also because they have hundreds of live casino games, poker tournaments, and all of the best props in the business. Of course, if you are interested, which I don't see why you wouldn't, go ahead and visit betonline.ag or use your mobile device and join now to receive your new welcome bonus and start playing today. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. But the big thing with Dont'a Hightower is that they loved to move him all around the field. Of course, he was also the primary defensive play caller, which we'll get into a little bit later in this video. They set up Hightower in many different types of formations in order to be able to create the best matchups defensively. And that is more so what we call a move linebacker. And a move linebacker are guys that play at both traditional inside and middle linebackers off the line of scrimmage and as outside linebackers on the line. So this would be utilized as guys like Terez Hall, who I know that the Patriots loved last season. We'll have to see if he can make an impact. Anthony Jennings, Brandon Copeland, and Josh Uche. So I'll be very curious to see what the New England Patriots decide to do with this certain situation. I think that Anthony Jennings could be a very good fit as a move linebacker. If Terez Hall is able to make a leap forward, I think that he could be a good placement there. For me, Brandon Copeland is definitely more of a set the edge type of linebacker. He's not a guy that to me is able to do anything in coverage or has a crazy amount of versatility. And as for Josh Uche, we'll just kind of have to see if he will be able to drop back into coverage and be able to move all over the field, because a lot of what we heard from him was that he's able to set the edge as more of an edge defender. Now, clearly throughout this video, you can see just how much Hightower brought within versatility. You can see that he didn't play at one specific spot. He didn't just play at move linebacker, didn't just play at outside linebacker, did not just at the edge. He literally played in every single spot, which is why you have to really take for each individual position on the defense. Now, if you're going to look at inside linebacker, which is going to be extremely important because that is where we saw Hightower a lot of the time. In fact, the Patriots used Dont'a Hightower and Jamie Collins a lot this past season at inside linebacker, which is why you didn't see a lot of Ja'Whaun Bentley, because that is the place that Bentley plays in. The guys that the Patriots have at inside linebacker is very, very limited. In fact, it's just Ja'Whaun Bentley, Dejon Harris, and Cash Maluia. So clearly the depth there doesn't make you feel too comfortable. The expectations for inside linebackers comes down to one person, and that's Ja'Whaun Bentley. Ja'Whaun Bentley is going to take a huge leap forward this upcoming season, not because, he's anything that was crazy prominent in past years, for lack of better words, but because he has to take a leap forward. In fact, in a recent interview, Ja'Whaun Bentley even said that he will have that little green sticker on his helmet, which signifies that he will be the one that is getting calls from the sideline in order to be able to tell it to the rest of the other teams, or the rest of the team, rather. So clearly, Bill Belichick and the rest of the coaching staff is heavily relying on Ja'Whaun Bentley for this upcoming season, and they're putting a lot of pressure on him to be the leader for 2020. There is not going to be one specific guy that replaces Dont'a Hightower. Let's just say that, period. You're not going to see Ja'Whaun Bentley playing in every single position that Dont'a Hightower did. That's just not Ja'Whaun Bentley. It's going to take an ensemble of players to come together to be able to transform what Hightower did with his versatility. Now, I do believe that the Patriots will be able to will essentially be able to replay what Dont'a Hightower was. They'll be able to get that sense of Hightower back on the field. It's not like Hightower was a huge playmaker, and I want to make that clear. Now, it's nothing against Hightower, but he wasn't a guy that was constantly making plays, who put up, 8 to 10 sacks a season and was making tons of interceptions. It was never anything like that. What it came down to was his leadership, the signal caller, and the versatility. The Patriots will be able to do as a unit the versatility that Hightower brought. It's the leadership and the veteran mentality that is going to be the toughest thing about Hightower to replace. So these guys are going to have to step up, especially a guy like Ja'Whaun Bentley. He's going to be someone big that needs to step up. You're going to be seeing, again, safeties playing in that hybrid linebacker role to help also replace Dont'a Hightower, which they were going to do whether Hightower left or not, but it's going to be a more prominent role now also. To me, I think that the New England Patriots also need to replace or not replace, but pick up somebody free agency-wise to help out here. A guy that I love to throw the name around about is Clay Matthews. I think Clay Matthews would be just the perfect option in helping to replace Dont'a Hightower, not putting 100% of this pressure back on Ja'Whaun Bentley, not having to put guys like Dejon Harris or Cash Maluia in a situation for guys that are just entering the league. I don't think that that is a strong idea. And it essentially just brings an aspect where it's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to bring a guy and have him and not necessarily need him than to rely on guys that you haven't really been able to see. Guys that just haven't proven themselves yet. I think that this also means that somebody like Brandon Copeland is going to have to step up. I don't see Ja'Whaun Bentley being a guy who's constantly setting the edge. Now, Bentley will set the edge at some points, of course, but I think he's truly going to play that classic linebacker role, which means that Brandon Copeland, of course, because he was going to set the edge, is going to have to fill in that role that Hightower did. But at the same time, he has been around the league for longer than a lot of these other guys, so he's also going to have to help bring that veteran leader aspect, which I'm sure he was not planning on doing for this upcoming season. But that is going to be it for today's video. This is how I think that the New England Patriots are going to have to replace Hightower. I went really in depth with this one, so it would mean a lot to me if you guys gave this video a big thumbs up, along with sharing this video with everybody you know, whether that's your friends, your families, fellow Patriots fan, or even someone that's not a Patriots fan. That's totally okay. Consider subscribing to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news if you haven't already. And like always, thank you guys so much for watching.